Free agency isn't over yet. Let's look at 5 guys the Vikings could still look to sign. Boom. All right, welcome back to Onebar and Lupagus Show. I'm Onebar. Yeah, we're going to look at 5 more free agent options that the Vikings could look to bring in free agency. Before you do that, remember, subscribe to the channel, like the videos. Let's get to 10,000 subs. Just hit 9. Let's get to 10. I can't wait. It's going to feel so good. Appreciate everybody subbing. Comments, let me know some guys that you want to bring in. And disclaimer, they're not going to be overly sexy names. I think the Vikings already blew their load on some of the bigger name guys, but this is where the GMs do the dirty work. This is where they find those guys like the Duke Shelleys, who may or may not be on this list. Be sure to stick around till the very end. This is where they find the diamonds in the rough, the steals, and this helps round out that beautiful roster. So in no particular order, I am just going to start off with the first one. And yes, I'm going wide receiver. I'm going Marquez Callaway, who has played for the Saints for the last 3 years. And you'll notice a theme of these guys. I'm trying to stay in my Kwesi mindset, age-wise, just about talent level. Guys coming off contracts that could be very, very appealing prices for Mr. Kwesi. But I'm going with Callaway. So 3 years with the Saints, undrafted free agent, good size at 6'2", still only 24 years old, which is crazy. Was starting to show signs last year with the Saints, but then just got absolutely buried on that depth chart. And this year he pretty much did nothing. So the way I see it is Callaway going to come and be our number 2 wide receiver? Absolutely not. Will he be our 3? That might even be a stretch. But I want some competition at the bottom of this depth chart. I want some guys competing with Jalen Naylor, competing with Jalen Reagor, giving us some depth. I know a lot of people don't think wide receiver is an overly high need, but it is. Look at the depth chart. We need to add some bodies to this depth chart. And Callaway, a guy who's been in the league for 3 years, a guy who has played at a very high level. 2 years ago, he had over 600 yards, 6 touchdowns, has proven he can be in this league. So I want some depth and I want some competition. So if we're not going wide receiver in the earlier rounds, at least we can add some depth in the free agency. So Callaway is a guy that I got my peepers on. I think he could be damn cheap. Damn cheap. Number 2, Tommy Kramer. Familiar name, the Vikings fans, just spelled a little bit differently. But Kramer, coming out of Notre Dame a couple years ago, was a guy that I definitely had my eyes on, a guy I wanted. He went undrafted. Lions snapped him up. Again, only 24 years old, was injured all of 2022. He did have a back injury, which you do not want to see offensive linemen. But why I like Tommy Kramer, again, the age, he's going to be very, very cheap. And he can play both sides at guard. He can play right guard. He can play left guard. He can play tackle in college. So very versatile guy along the offensive line. When you look at our depth at guard right now, we have Chris Reed. That's it. That's it. So Tommy Kramer comes in, again, just another body that can compete for a roster spot. And if he makes the team, great. Somebody goes down, he can play in a pinch. Back in 2021, undrafted free agent, came in as a rookie, actually played pretty damn good for the Lions. I mean, he's not going to be a guy that's going to take over for Ed Ingram or replace Ezra Cleveland next year if we lose him. He's just a depth piece. We need those warm and fuzzies along the offensive line. If somebody goes down, somebody can play in a pinch. And who knows, maybe comes in and plays his balls off and is all of a sudden pushing Ed Ingram for a spot. We don't want that, but I want some competition along the offensive line. So Tommy Kramer, why not? Come on down. Number 3, and this is more of a sexier name. It's Asin, a guy that we've talked about a handful of times. He's not a game-changing player. He's good in coverage. He can shut down quality receivers. He's not that splashy cornerback that is going to be out there making crazy-ass plays left and right. But, again, he's played in 11 games for the Raiders, started 9 of them. He didn't allow a touchdown reception all damn season. And at this point in free agency, prices have come down quite a bit, and I think he could be had at a pretty cheap deal. He's a good cornerback. He came in, PFF had him rated as the 50th best cornerback in the league, and you might think, oh, 50th, that is dog shit. But putting him in with a Byron Murphy, with an Andrew Booth, with a Caleb Evans, potential rookie, the cornerback group is starting to look pretty damn good. And he's not going to cost $10 million a year. So he's going to come in at hopefully a decent price, maybe sign him the 1-2-year deal. And again, it just adds depth, much needed depth to this cornerback group. A guy who has started in the league and has played pretty damn good. So Rocky Asin, I'm going to keep talking about that guy until he finally signs somewhere because I want him. Next up, Miles Jack, linebacker, just recently cut by the Steelers. I sound like a broken record, but I just don't want to hand Asamoah that job. I want to see Asamoah out there, but with Hicks, with Asamoah, I would love to see somebody else in that mix that can actually push these guys. And Miles Jack has proven that he can play in this league. He's proven he can be a pretty damn good linebacker. Has he lived up to that second-round pick that the Jaguars took him? Probably not. But he's got Brian Flores was his defensive coach last year, which may be a good thing. It may be a bad thing. I mean, he clearly knows what he has in Miles Jack, but still young, 27 years old, started a ton of games, and can play pretty damn good. So Miles Jack, again, when you look at our depth chart behind Asamoah and Hicks, Troy Dye, I mean, it gets pretty bad pretty quick. So Miles Jack, that'd be a fun one. That would be a fun one. The last one, and probably the one that'll get the most excitement, is the man, the myth, the legend, and this is a re-sign. This is Duke freaking Shelley. Bring him home, Duke Shelley, 26 years old. We all know what he did last year. He came in 5'9". He didn't give a shit. He shut everybody down. He was one of our best corners. He was our best corner down the stretch of the season. 5 games started, and according to PFF, I mean, he was one of the top-rated cornerbacks out there. It's interesting. This guy hasn't been signed yet. And really, it doesn't sound like, I mean, I don't even know if he's visited anywhere. I don't know if he thinks his price tag is just too high or he's asking too much. But he could be the type of guy that realizes that money is not out there yet and needs to come back and prove it. Perfect situation. Vikings, sign him to a 1-year deal. Let him have that prove-it deal. Come back and make a ton of money. He'll still only be 27 after this season and still has a chance for a good-sized contract. His size is obviously scaring a lot of teams away, but damn, did he play good. I would love nothing more than him to come in and not only just be a good depth piece, but push these young guys for an actual starting job. Got Byron Murphy out there. I already mentioned when I was talking about your Rocky Sin, all the cornerbacks we have. He would have a legitimate shot of being a starter on this team. And everybody loves Duke Shelley. Everybody, bring him in. It's not going to cost a ton unless he finds some Adam Thielen contract out there where someone's just going to pay him a ginormous amount of money. But here's the 5 guys. Once again, none of these guys are overly game changers, but they have teeth. Let me know, any of these guys tickle your fancy? Who's a free agent that's still out there that you'd love to come home? Let me know. Hit that sub button. Lupagus, I'll be here hot and heavy talking Vikings.